Hi, it's Radha, aka Flexibility Guru. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to show you how to do an at-home fitness assessment on yourself. So we're going to go through 10 different types of assessments to see how you are doing with balance, upper body strength, lower body strength, core strength, stability, proprioception, mobility, lower body flexibility, and upper body flexibility. So let's get started. We're going to start with balance. To assess your balance, I want you to stand with one foot in front of the other in a perfectly straight line. You'll want to do this in the same footwear every time, so notice if you're going to be doing this in bare feet, socks, or in shoes, and what surface you do it on. If you do it on a wood floor or a hard floor, it will be easier than if you do it on a carpet or a mat like this. The mat is squishy, so it challenges my balance even more. So make sure you do it on the same surface every time with the same footwear. So you're just standing here perfectly balanced. You want to shift your weight into the front foot slightly, then shift to the back foot, and then find the center so the weight is equal in both feet. From here, if your balance is fine, you could maintain it for a minute with no wobbles. Then you can try closing your eyes. So this is the true balance test. Either way, you're trying to hold it for 1 minute. So you just want to see how far you can get. So you may want to do this with your phone right in your hand. As you close your eyes, hit the timer to start. And then as soon as you get off balance, open your eyes and look at where you've gotten to. Then you'll repeat the same thing with the other foot in front. And just make sure that you rock forward, rock back, and place the weight evenly in both feet before starting. And you can have a little soft bend in the knees. It doesn't need to be a lot, but you can see where locked out versus a little bend might make it easier for you. So that's my tip. Your goal is to be able to hold each side for a minute with your eyes closed. So see how you do. The second assessment I will have you do is a wall sit. You're going to come near a wall, feet a little bit wider than hip width. Sit your butt back. And you can walk your feet forward a little bit. You're trying to slide your back down the wall until you get to a 90-degree angle on the knees. From here, try to push your head and back against the wall and let your arms hang by your side. Try not to go like this. Okay, just relax. You'll set your timer and time how long you can hold this for. Try to work through any jiggles and jitters and just keep holding it as long as you can. The third assessment is a plank. This is going to assess your core stability. So it's the deep underlying muscles, the transverse abdominis underneath the six-pack. So, and it also tests kind of some shoulder stability. I'm going to put a block underneath my belly. I suggest you do the same thing. This will just prevent it that if your hips start to sag because you're getting tired, the block is going to be a sensory, tactile sensation. You go, ooh, better get back up, okay? So you've got a couple variations. I'm going to go from beginner to difficult. Beginner, straight arms on your knees, and your hips are right here. So you just want to create a diagonal line from your shoulders to your knees. You shouldn't have your hips tight, and they also shouldn't be sagging. Okay, so this is it for the very beginner version. If you want to take it a step further, you will come down onto your forearms. And this is where the block will come more into play, as if you're on your forearms. So if your belly touches the block, you're chilling. So try to make sure your abdomen is engaged, the belly button is pulled up towards the spine, and you're trying to create that straight line from your shoulder to your knee. And then you're just hitting your timer, holding holding as long as you can. If you want the more advanced version, the next level from that would be straight arms and straight legs, and holding this as long as you can. So here the block's not super helpful. If you want to have the hardest version, forearms and straight legs. So now I should be more like a straight line from my shoulders, or the crown of the head, all the way to the heels. And then you're just holding as long as you can. So you'll see here, if my hips start to sag, the block tells me to lift back up. That's it. So you'll just time how long you can do that for. The ideal goal is 2-minute plank is kind of a really healthy, strong core. So see where you're at. So I placed the 4th assessment here to give your upper body and core a little bit of a break before the next exercise. So what we're going to do is a quadruped balance, and this is going to test your proprioception. Proprioception is knowing where your body is in space. So it can help with coordination, balance, controlling your body, just with your eyes closed, knowing exactly where your nose is. That's proprioception. So we're going to see how your proprioception is. So on all fours, shoulders stacked above the wrist, knees right underneath your hips, flat back, reach your left arm out, and then reach your right leg back. Try to make sure you don't sink into the shoulder joints. You want to push through the palm of your hand. Really reach to your fingertip and your heel. And then to take it a step further if you can. If not, you're just going to try to hold it here for 1 full minute and time yourself. And if you can take it further, you're going to see if you can lift your left foot up off the floor so you're just balancing on your hand and your knee. And then see if you can hold this still for 1 minute. Okay, then you'll repeat the same thing on the other side. This can be hard on the knee joint once, not the joint itself, but just the bone once you lift your foot up. So make sure you have a nice thick cushion underneath your knee. All right, assessment number 5, we're halfway there. Push-ups. You'll want a block or thick book for this. It's going to be your goal of where you're going to hit your chest. You can do these on your knees. If you choose that version, you just want to make sure you don't have your butt up. Let it come down. You have to move this. Arms are wide, and you're slowly lowering your chest to the block, and then push back up. So that would be the modified version. The full version, you're up on your toes, push to your heels, same thing. Try to lower the chest to the block, and then come back up. The push-up doesn't count unless your chest hits the block. Okay, and you need to straighten your arms completely at the top. So no, I see people do these like push-ups that are like this. So straight arms, bent arms touch the block. Okay, see how many you can do. The 6th assessment is probably the most intense. It's a burpee. So this is going to really test your cardio levels and endurance. I'm having a ball right here just to demonstrate a more modified version of a burpee if you're just starting out. So you wouldn't use a ball, but you might have a stool, an end table, a coffee table, or a chair, as long as it's pushed against the wall and safe, to place your hands on. That way you don't have to reach all the way down to the floor. When you're just getting started, that's a lot of effort. Okay, so I'm going to start with the modified burpee, and then I'll show you the full. So modified, you're just going to reach your arms up, bring your hands down to your chair or support, step back to plank position, step back into your squat, and stand up, reach up. And you'll do that every time. Reach back, and you're going to see how many you can do. You may just want to start with how many you can do in 1 minute and put a time limit on yourself so you don't burn out on your first try. But if you're more advanced, then you can skip the ball or the support and you'll be jumping. So you jump up at the top, jump back to plank, jump in, jump up. That's one. So you're basically going to pick which version is your choice and see how many you can do in a minute, or just see how many you can do total, which is really hard. So now you get to take a little break and lay down. Unfortunately, it's for crunches, but we're getting closer to finishing this up. So you're gonna lay down on your back, arms by your side. And this one you're gonna time how many you can do in 1 minute. So the form I want you to take is reaching your fingertips, sliding them on the mat towards your knees. My shoulder blades should be off the mat right here, and that's the end of my crunch. Then I'm going back down, the head rests, and I'm coming back up. So these are just very little mini crunches. And you're gonna test how many you can do in 1 minute. So just put your timer beside you and go to work. Assessment number 8, get down, get up. You're already laying down, so stay right here. Straighten out your legs. I want you to get up however you can, but I want you to try not to use your upper body if possible. So for me, I can just sit up and then I get up. But how do you have to get up? And that's what I'm more curious about. So notice if you can't get from here to here, then you're struggling with core strength or spinal mobility. If you can't get from here to here, then you may be struggling with hip mobility, with glute strength, or hip flexibility, could be a little hamstring involvement. So I just want you to notice the modifications you have to make in order to get up. Do you have to roll over to one side? Once you roll over to one side, how are you getting up? Are you able to just push yourself up? And then see, from here, is there any way you can get up without your hands? Could you come to here and then get up? So I just want you to do this more so you know your movement patterns. So let's rate it on a scale of 1 to 3. 1 being that you can do it totally with hands free. 2, struggling a little bit, but one hand touch got you up off the floor. A 3 would be poor, and that would mean that you have to use your hands multiple times in order to get up, whether that means pushing off the floor and then pushing again off the floor to get to here, and pushing again to get to here. So just rank that one on a scale of 1 to 3. Down to our last 2 assessments, and they're stretching. So these would be helpful to have a measuring tape for. If you don't have a measuring tape or a ruler, an extra person would come in handy that could take a picture of you. Or take a selfie somehow of yourself in the stretch, just so you have a visual representation of your flexibility levels. But if you do have a measuring tape, what you're gonna do is straighten out your legs, squeeze the measuring tape in between your toes if you can. I'm gonna squeeze it between my toe bones and lay it down my legs. And I'm just gonna squeeze it in so it's taut, and then you're gonna reach. And so you're gonna reach forward and see what number your fingers land on the measuring tape. If you're super bendy, you may wanna do it in reverse. So in that sense, I'm gonna flip my measuring tape a little bit more and lay it towards the ground. I'll have to check on it when I reach. So in this sense, then you're gonna walk your way forward, straighten out the measuring tape as you reach for it, your fingers at your furthest point, and then just bring the measuring tape up, and I can reach 1 foot past my feet. So that would be how you do it if you're bendy. Obviously a picture, you won't know the exact amount of inches, but the visual is perfect. And for our last assessment is the back stretch. So this one, a measuring tape would be handy again, a ruler would work. You can use like a towel or a strap, and then maybe guesstimate how many inches it was. So with this one, I'm going to start with my right arm overhead, and it's pinching the very end, the 0 of the measuring tape. Show you this way. So my elbow's here. I'm dropping my hand behind my head as far as I can. And then I'm going to try to find the measuring tape with my other hand. And then I'm going to walk the two together. Whether I'm pulling the measuring tape down to bring my top arm down more, and then walking my bottom hand up as high as I can. So if I was only able to get to here, then I would pinch the measuring tape with my bottom finger, and that would be the distance of how far my hands were from reaching each other. If you can reach, or even if you can just touch the fingers, then that would be a 0. If you can clasp the fingers, then just give yourself an A+. Assessments can give you a lot of knowledge about your body, so I really recommend doing it at least once just to give you some more information about where your workouts should be focused on. If you got something like you could do the wall sit for 2 minutes, but you could only do a plank for 10 seconds, and you could only do 8 push-ups, then you would know that your workouts don't need to focus on legs as much as they do your core stability and your upper body strength. So just using how you felt like you did in the assessment, looking at the numbers, and then kind of creating a plan for your body is a good idea. I love doing assessments for my clients and tend to go way more in depth than this, but I think this will give you a really good starting ground. And if you did it on a monthly basis, it could be kind of like a off-day workout, and you would be able to chart your progress over time. And that can help you stick to your routine much longer because you'll be seeing the results and numbers every month. And when you don't track it, you don't tend to notice how much you improve. You only tend to notice how far you have left to go. I hope this helps. I will see you here next week. And if you'd like, there's a video from last week on how to take your measurements. That would be super helpful.